Jurassic World Evolution is coming to PC and consoles very soon, in digital format on the 12th of June and a physical release, for consoles only, following on the 3rd of July. We've spent quite a bit of time with the game already. We've talked to its writers and developers, and we've been seriously impressed by everything we've played so far. We've also dug up a few interesting little facts about it that we just had to share. Here are 9 things you really should know about Jurassic World Evolution. The game takes place in Los Cinco Muertos, the 5 Deaths, the group of islands the players might recognise from the original films. This island group includes Isla Sorna and, of course, Isla Nublar, where it all began with Jurassic Park and where Jurassic World is set. According to the game's lead writer, John Zerplatten, Jurassic World Evolution takes place across multiple time periods. Zerplatten says there's an homage to the original Jurassic Park in Evolution, where the game goes back and gives a little more story and more context to things you think you might know, but maybe you don't. But the vast majority of the game exists right towards the end of the latest film, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Apparently, Evolution also integrates with other timelines that happen in between those 2 films. So, all signs point to there being missions that play out almost like a Jurassic Park Greatest Hits. And hopefully, that means we'll get OG Jurassic Park assets and skins to build the theme park that Hammond dreamed of 25 years ago. Speaking of writer John Zerplatten, he's penned stories for loads of other games, including Fear Effect and The Chronicles of Riddick. And there's a lot more story to Jurassic World Evolution than you might usually expect from a park building simulator.
I've got an interesting opportunity for you to consider.
In a recent interview, John told us that his approach to building a gaming narrative is taking the view that the player is a co-creator of the story with him. And to that end, the story of Jurassic World Evolution feels like it can be told in a variety of ways, stemming from how the player chooses to pursue the different park contract branches of science, security, and entertainment. Each branch has its own unique missions, which can really affect the way that you approach and flow through the narrative. And, according to John, when you get through all of them together, they all equal something. Evolution ties back into a lot of the messages that Jurassic Park as a whole has always been about. I mean, Jurassic Park is about dinosaurs, of course, but it's also about the hubris of man. And each of the contract branches represent a different side of that. Scientist Dr. Dua wants to push the boundaries of science as far as they'll go, creating new species and splicing DNA together without pausing to think of the creatures or humans she's putting in harm's way. Security expert and former military man George Lambert can help you unlock new technology or structures to help with dinosaur containment and crisis management, like storm defense stations. But to test those, he's going to want you to create the most dangerous dinosaurs you possibly can and encourage their instinctive behaviours to unleash their potential as combatants. It's hard to shake the feeling that anyone testing how to contain and control these animals might have an ulterior motive. Over on the entertainment branch, Isaac Clement sees everything as an opportunity to put on a show while milking a potentially huge cash cow. Not the most ethical way of treating these creatures that are surely worthy of our respect. Completing missions for each of these 3 divisions will raise your standing with them individually, and in turn, they'll offer you more dangerous or lucrative missions. But will there be a cost to pandering to their dangerous whims?
And that's always been the challenge of the Jurassic industrial complex. Exploitation versus security. The immense potential for profit and for violence.
Everyone involved in the contract missions seem blinded by their own bias. But while they each figure out how they can use the dinosaurs to their own ends, Dr. Ian Malcolm sits outside it all, constantly questioning and nudging the player on the morality of what they're doing. As in the Jurassic Park films, Malcolm is pretty much anti-everything that your park is about. But he knows the fact that humans now have this ability to create these creatures cannot be contained. The genie is out of the bottle, so to speak. And so, Dr. Malcolm would rather be monitoring the situation close by than turning a blind eye. He feels a certain responsibility and knows things would be a lot worse without him around. And, on a more personal level, he's still awed by the dinosaurs, as we all would be. But still, in a very meaningful way, Dr. Malcolm fundamentally disagrees with everything you're doing just by playing the game. And so, a unique dynamic between Dr. Malcolm and the player arises that, according to writer John Zerplatten, pays off in an interesting way when you get to the end of the campaign. Intriguing.
So, well done, I guess.
Circling back round to the story, apparently Jurassic World Evolution tried to retcon a particular character's motivation from the original Jurassic Park film. Although Zerplatten couldn't give us too many details, he said that everyone liked the idea apart from the only people who could actually allow it to go ahead, who said, "It's a great idea, but we're not doing that." All Zerplatten could say on the subject was, there's a lot of backstory that's implied in the Jurassic Park universe that's been explored in the films, and that actually goes all the way back to Michael Crichton's novels. Wherever you have a world, a chaotic world, that is doing something different, opportunists appear. The opportunists who essentially created the chaos and calamity of the original Jurassic Park film, that presence is in this game as well. It may be a character that you've known for a long time. Could he be talking about Dennis Nedry? I mean, we did ask, but apparently we forgot to say the magic word. According to Frontier's head of animation, Nick Rogers, the dinosaurs' movement was modelled firstly on footage of the dinosaurs in the original films, to make them feel as authentically Jurassic Park as possible. But if the films didn't have a specific movement that the Frontier team needed, they looked at a lot of wildlife footage, trying to find the nearest living animal to the dinosaur they wanted to bring to life. Giraffes, elephants, ostriches, cassowaries and rhinoceroses were all studied, and the team tried to use as much reference material as possible to get the best possible look and movement for their creations. And that included visiting the Dinosaur Museum in Cambridge where the game is being developed, and sometimes turning on a camera and acting things out for themselves, which apparently lets them get all those lifelike twitches and eye darts and little details just right. Nick Rogers also told us that the original Jurassic Park film was the reason he got into animation in the first place, and the team worked extra hard to make sure players were aware of all the individual muscles at work that make these creatures so powerful, giving them real weight and mass. Nick also told us about a very cool system in place in the game that makes sure the dinosaurs' feet are always fully in contact with the ground. According to Nick, with a lot of games you'd get away with feet clipping or not sitting quite right, but in a game with dinosaurs, some of them, like the Brachiosaur, as big as houses, you really can't have a flat foot sticking out on top of a curved surface, or vice versa. So, there are mechanics at work making sure weight is evenly distributed and supported, even when dinosaurs are going up and down hills. It's something that a lot of players won't necessarily notice, but it's a touch that definitely makes these creatures feel more lifelike. That extra focus on detail rooted in reality carries over into other sections of the game as well. Expedition dig sites, where you can send off teams to farm for fossils, natural ores, and of course, amber, are all based on real-world dig sites that you can read more about in the game's database archives. It's here that you can also read up on dinosaur species and diseases, as well as characters and lore from the Jurassic franchise. The diseases section is important too, as medical epidemics can break out on your compound, making it necessary for you to research diseases and research the right medicine to treat the right outbreak. Sicknesses can arise from lots of different issues, from dead animals being left lying around to neglect, or sometimes for no discernible reason at all. The main thing is how you respond, contain, and manage any sicknesses that break out, or all this will have been for nothing.
Asset has been collected.
Frontier took a guess at the best method for transporting dinosaurs. In-game, the team designed the method for dinosaurs to be transported via harness and helicopter as probably the safest way it could be done. But then, the new Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom trailer came out, and in the film, it's shown that the park is doing exactly the same thing, which was very satisfying for Frontier. The developer had dozens of other ways it was going to transport the dinos, like putting them in a huge box or putting them in a truck, but when the team thought about it more, they were like, well, what do you do when you have to move an Apatosaurus? It would be far too big. And so the air transport method was settled on, which is great for us, because we get to see those adorable floppy dinosaurs in action. There are lots of little touches that become apparent over time that really make the game feel that more immersive. Park visitors will take selfies if they walk past dinosaurs doing something interesting. Missions will attract different types of park guests depending on the type of contracts you've been completing. So, for example, if you've been focusing mainly on the security branch of missions, you'll see a great deal more military personnel wandering around the park. There's a physics system on the dinosaurs that means the more tranquilized they get, the floppier their motor responses are, meaning they'll look a little bit drunk. So if they're running away and evading capture from park rangers after getting tranked, they'll gradually get floppier and floppier until they go down. You can name individual dinosaurs and buildings if you get particularly attached to them. You can micromanage shops if you're so inclined. Clicking on shops will allow you to control details right down to the price of burgers and the amount of staff that they have. Ranger teams medicate dinosaurs, carry out repairs, and take pictures. You can assume direct control to take pictures with more interesting or social dinosaurs and then sell those pictures for a bit of extra money. If you find yourself with some downtime, you can request more contracts from the control room tab to give you a small mission to tide you over, such as increasing your island rating to 2 stars for a bump in reputation and a cash bonus. And finally, if you're struggling to find dinosaurs in all this vegetation, your map view can help. It can also show where any breaks are in your power grid, and clicking on something will take you straight there to tinker with it a bit more. Simplicity itself. So, what do you think of Jurassic World Evolution? Will you be picking it up? We have a ton of videos on the game that you can watch right now, including interviews with writer John Zerplatten and Jeff Goldblum. There's also a Let's Play if you want to see the game up close and in action. Do hit the like and the subscribe buttons if you enjoyed this video and want to see more from us and from Jurassic World Evolution in the future, and thanks for watching. Bye!